Thank you for that. I always like woos, especially from people on the dance floor. So as they said, my name is SirQueen. My DJ name is SirQueen. My legal name is Adam Gonzales. So if you ever see that anywhere, I might show up in your people you may know on Facebook after you've been here tonight. So just be prepared for that. When I was asked to do this, I had to step back and wonder, why me? It's very seldom that people hear my voice. And I had to sit with that for a moment. And I had to look in the mirror and I had to remind myself that people do hear my voice. They hear the voice from inside every week, multiple times a week usually, at my bookings. Because for me, DJing isn't just playing the newest hot song that's on the radio. DJing isn't just looking at the crowd and saying, I wonder if they'll like this. For me, DJing is a bigger connection. It's a stronger connection. It's a deeper connection with the people around me. The people who I know that for that hour or two that they may be on my dance floor, that hour or two may be the only time of refuge for them their entire week. They may have driven in from a rural small town. They may have saved up to get a hotel room for the night or for the weekend to come experience queer community, to come be around people like them, to dance with people like them, to experience joy, to just have fun. I grew up in rural West Texas, Pampa, Texas to be exact. And if anyone in here knows where that is or has been there, you know what I'm talking about. So, growing up in a Catholic environment as a little gay boy, born of Mexican immigrants, in a place where I didn't know I was different until a white man in the grocery store told me I was different. I had to have been around 6 years old, and I still remember being told where I belonged and where I wasn't supposed to belong. That's one of my earliest memories of what I would say is racism. That memory has stuck with me my entire life. And I think from that time, I've always sought community. I've sought the other people like me, the other people who are different and who accept their difference, but maybe they didn't know they were different until someone told them they were different, and now they celebrate that difference. Music has been a way for me to celebrate myself, and discovering the house music tradition and discovering disco is something that gave me a medium to work with in connecting with others. Growing up and going to school where a lot of the people didn't look like me, they didn't have the same interests, belonging to a church where all my life I heard that piece of me that I've worked really, really hard to hide is exactly what's wrong with me and is going to send me to hell. It was very isolating. But I faked it until I made it, and so I'm here today. Didn't expect that, thank you. Right out of high school, I went into the seminary. I was that kid who volunteered to mow the church lawn on Saturday mornings just to get out of my house because I didn't have the best home environment. So I thought, good little brown boys are supposed to go to seminary if they're not attracted to girls and don't want to have a family, right? So I faked it till I made it. Eventually, that landed me as a novice in a Benedictine monastery not too far from here. You all know it, Conception. I joined there as a postulant in 2013, June of 2013, and I left there as a novice in September of 2013, when I finally got to the end of my spiritual journey and I said, this is not for me. In fact, it took another seminarian coming up to me, grabbing my tunic and saying, you don't need this to help people. That was an awakening for me. And I'm not saying that everyone's awakening needs to be that way. I'm not saying that everyone who is queer needs to abandon their church homes and their spiritual practices. But for me, getting the hell out of Conception was the right thing to do. For me, discovering music and the power that it has has given me the ability to emerge from that place where I had to hide everything about me that made me beautiful. For me, discovering the fact that I can be drawn to a song that then someone connects to was a powerful way for me to find my people. Honestly, when I came out in 2015, I didn't know what I was supposed to do. I didn't look like the pretty guys with the six-pack and the statue of David. That wasn't me. I was fluffy and curvy in all the right ways, and I wasn't mad about it. But I found refuge on the dance floor. I still remember being able to go into my first club. I was 18, actually, so it was long before I came out. A high school friend of mine invited me out on a Friday. And I was in Catholic school, we both were. She was the kid that transferred in from public school. Naturally, we became friends. She said, "Hey, pick me up at 9 o'clock and bring $5. Okay. So we drive across town, we park, we're walking into this red brick building, and I had the time of my life. I can still remember some of the songs I heard there for the first time at that volume. And as someone who grew up in the tradition of going to weddings and quinceañeras and hearing mariachi music and dancing cumbias, I always had rhythm in me. But my family really wasn't big on music. So those were the first places that I experienced music in that way. But I remember walking out of that club and thinking, I'm different. And this is where I belong. And it wouldn't be until about 5 or 6 years later that I would be liberated from that cave that I was in. And I would find dance floors here in Kansas City and elsewhere when I would travel. And so for me, being able to find that music and find the people that were drawn to that music was a way to connect with a community that I didn't even know existed at first. So I sort of fell into DJing because I wanted to just play music that I liked. I moved to Maryville, Missouri in 2018 from West Texas. Not a major upgrade, metropolis-wise, you know. I worked at Northwest Missouri State University, and I didn't have a lot of friends here in Kansas City. In fact, I tried to make friends in Kansas City. I was on all those apps. Those apps, they're great for some things, not always great for making friends. And so I invested in my first real professional DJ mixer. I would go to work, I'd clock out at 5 o'clock, I'd go home, maybe have some dinner. I would spend about 5 or 6 hours in my bedroom just playing music for myself, day after day. Eventually, I landed my first club gig in Columbia, Missouri. I was like, okay, you want to hear me play? Great. That was my first time really moving people on the dance floor. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say it was a spiritual experience. And it continues to be a spiritual experience for me because when I DJ, I'm not just playing the top 40 songs that you hear on the radio on the way to the club. I'm trying to tell you a story, and I'm trying to connect other people with that sense of connectedness that I first felt on the dance floor. As you all may know or may not know, house music came from queer communities of color. At a time when we couldn't dance together in public spaces. At a time when for two men or two women, two individuals who love each other, who society says should not love each other, had to hide. And in those spaces, those DJs created something that then set off, like dominoes, set off a series of events that led to what we now know as house music and or dance music in general. It was those people who were trying to provide for their communities and seeking a way to express what they had on the inside that are the reason that I'm here today. And I don't forget that every time I step into the booth at Missy B's, Thursdays and Friday nights. And I don't forget that when I look out on Thursday nights when it's slower and I see one person on the dance floor living their life with their hands up in the air. Maybe they have rhythm, maybe they don't. Maybe the rhythm that I perceive they don't have is something that I just can't understand. But I don't forget that I'm a part of a long legacy of individuals who have worked to provide experiences of liberation, refuge, and empowerment for their communities. long before I was born, and I'm sure there are a lot of them who will continue long after I'm gone. So for me, community is finding refuge. For me, community is finding commonalities in the things that make us glow, in the things that make us smile, in the things that make our hips shake and wiggle. And it's about empowerment. It's about uplifting one another. I'm DJ SirQueen. Thank you.